Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, I hope you're doing well. This is Kenya Revolutionary. How you feeling? How you feeling? How you feeling? I'll give you a couple of minutes to get you situated. If you're seeing this, getting this notification, you know the deal. The first order of business is what? Yes, like the video. And if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. Like, share, comment. And if you get in the studio, the Nino is there. Okay. All right. I'll give you guys a minute to get in. Get yourself situated. Uh, Kama unakunywa kahawa kama mimi, kama unakula lunch, dinner, whatever you are, whether you're watching from Europe, Africa, America, North America, Asia, Australia, Antarctica, whatever continent you're from, please, karibu sana, karibu sana, karibu sana, karibu, 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 karibu sana, sana, sana. Okay? All right, all right, all right. Mko sawa? Tuanze. Haya basi. Link you. If you're watching me from X or formerly known as Twitter, you can shift through if you want to be part of the conversation. You can shift through YouTube. My name is right there on the screen. Kenya Revolutionary. Unaweza kunipata hapo. Unaweza kuni, just Google me on YouTube search engine, and you can see my page. Click on it. You can see the live, and on the comment section, you'll see the StreamYard link, which can get you in. You just click it, turn your camera on, turn your audio on, and let's have this discussion. Anyway, let's get to it. And for those of you who are going to did catch this live, you're going to watch this later. You know the deal. Like the video, and if you don't see it later, or you just see the thing thumbnail later on, click the video, like it, share, comment, and again, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. It's free. Okay. All right, let's get to the topic today. The topic is Professor Ogolla probes the death of the late Francis Ogolla, General Ogolla. Okay, so Professor Ogolla has some very interesting stuff to say about the circumstances surrounding the death of the late General Francis Ogolla. Okay, then we'll touch on Ruto. Ruto continues on a destructive path. We've seen some houses. Where was it? I'll get to that. The houses that were being demolished, and majority of them, or some of the people whose houses are being destroyed, were actually Ruto supporters who voted for Ruto. So that's why you hear some people saying, "Hey, inawaramba nyinyi mlipigia Ruto kura, ndio hiyo sasa, pay for it, use hustlers." You know how I feel about that. But anyway, we shall start. And also, something else to mention, Raila apparently is on the campaign trail. ODM is trying to have their grassroots, what is it, party nomination or whatever the case is. And, he criticizes the government. He had the balls to criticize Ruto on some stuff. And also, Ali Hassan Joho has some try to reassure the ODM hopeful that the party is well intact. There's no problem with it. So Kilamtu, everybody needs to chill. He's not against anybody. Okay? But let's get to the main issue today. The main issue at hand, what we want to address first is a more serious issue that I kind of it's drawing me in. I'm trying to look into it more deeper, and that's the issue which involves the suspicious circumstances that surrounds the death of now the late great General Francis Ogolla. Now, I want to play this clip from Professor Ogolla, who highlights the events leading up to Ogolla's death. And according to him, Francis Ogolla, General, the late General, kind of knew that there was someone who was after him. Somebody wanted him dead. Okay, he knew that, but he kept on being professional and never came out to mention who he suspected, uh, who wanted him dead. Okay, the person who wanted him dead. He never came out and mentioned it, but he was well aware. that someone wanted him dead. So I'm curious as to who might want uh, General Ogolla dead. I made my case on my previous video, but I'm open to listening to other people, especially Professor Ogolla, who seems to raise legitimate questions surrounding what happened. Now, let's take a look at this video by Professor Ogolla. Again, my friends, I'm giving you 2 minutes, 2 seconds. Get in. Come over here, subscribe to Fadali. Able subscribe and like this video. If it comes to you, I'm telling you, even if you're watching it later, on repeat, like the video. So let's get to the video. It's basically Professor Ogolla anatoa matamshi yake na maoni yake surrounding what may have happened to Ogolla, the late professor, not professor, but General Ogolla, okay? So this is Professor Ogolla talking about General Ogolla, who is now deceased. All right, so let's play the video and see what he has to say. All right, are you guys ready? Hi, Abasi. I'll share the screen with you so we can listen in to Professor Ogolla giving his thoughts. All right, here it is. Let's go.
We are releasing a press statement concerning the intrigues that led to General Francis Ogolla's death that are highly questionable. We have had very many eulogies that the General Francis Ogolla was well prepared for his death, but I wondered why he was not preparing for retirement, which was surely coming in May 2025. Why was he preparing for his death, and yet his medical records demonstrate a very healthy general? I've been trying to reach out to Mr. Peter Muranga, who is the chair of the 7-member committee charged with investigations, but to no avail. I've also tried to call mainstream media to give the information I have, but no media house seems to be interested, as they say they have been told by the state to avoid that matter as we stare at the incoming shambolic report from the Muranga-led team. There are some information that I must reveal, even if they might disturb the family, but I beg your pardon, it is worth revealing for the public to question and call out the state on the General Ogolla's suspect death. At Linda Jamii, General Ogolla's death is an incident until proven as an accident, since we tend to see more signs of assassination than an accident. We have received a lot of intelligence from very concerned Kenyans in very senior ranks in the military and air transport. They really want to know the truth and call upon Linda Jamii, the only organization that can be referred to as the most authentic and independent voice on matters of public interest. Dear to me is the president, but dearer still is the truth and justice for General Ogolla and Kenyans at large. There are very questionable incidences that leads to ruling out accidents pointing toward a planned assassination that General Ogolla seemed to have been aware of, but didn't disclose properly due to the professionalism military code of conduct that he held so strongly unto death and beyond. The easiest way to eliminate an enemy, if their easier prey, begins with food, love affairs, and alcohol. General Ogolla seemed to have escaped this because General Ogolla was perceived to be faithful to his wife and family, no matter no claim has been registered so far of anybody claiming any affairs that led to extramarital affairs. He strictly preferred to eat at home, where we have reliable information. He cooked for himself at home for the precaution. The general avoided the bottle until it could be for symbolic purposes. So these ones were all done for self-precaution. The first incidents of note took place on 16th of April 2024. On this day, a Nigerian acclaimed pastor arrived at the Wilson Airport's National Air Support Department, NASD, shortly before 11 a.m. and stayed in General Ogolla till 2 p.m. General Ogolla had arrived in a suit, not on his official military attire, but he was in his official CBF motorcade. This same so-called pastor had come for these similar prayers last year in June and July. There are so many things that would worry any investigator regarding this 16th April incident. Why did General Ogolla ask for his sword to be brought from the car to the room where he was meeting the said General Nigerian pastor? I would ask CCTV cameras and Google Earth videographic footages to prove me wrong on this. Why would anyone pray for the sword? Why did the Nigerian ride on a Mercedes Benz with 3 chase cars, 3 black Toyota Prados? We would also want to know who are the 3 other strangers in the entourage of the Nigerian pastor. Again, CCTV footages and Google Earth videography, which I think are available at the National Air Support Department offices, should also prove me wrong on this. Fourth, what nature of prayers were these that took place at the National Air Support Department in full view of Brigadier Edgar
P. Lopokoit? Let him deny with the CCTV cameras and Google Earth videographic evidence that these incidents did not take place. General Ogolla, instead of traveling on 17th of April, traveled on 18th April, because it was planned for him to travel on 17th, actually traveled on 18th. Since the food given to him by a restaurant at the National Air Support Department, operated by a woman so close to the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, gave him food poisoning. To this effect, Linda Jami got details from a senior military captain whose name is held under witness protection that he had food poison, not that he was poisoned, he had food poison that stopped him from traveling on 17th as scheduled, but later now traveled on 18th. The second incident was on 18th April, whereby it is claimed that the chopper he was to use from Isli Air Base was claimed to be defective after it went to Voi and back. They brought another chopper, which the same military captain confirmed was even more defective. According to the captain, the plane came down but experienced a burn trying to take off. He suspects the burn was external. Probably the plane, that plane did not take off, but it was a burn from outside. So this was a shot at the plane. The third incident is, why did other gallant soldiers' body be taken to the Lee Funeral Home while Ogolla's body stayed at Forces Memorial Hospital, the so-called Heroes Palace? Fourth is about the suspicion around Ogolla's funeral rites. No one has seen the will, but it's only claims from the state and the family, which at the moment cannot be trusted whether they are speaking for the fallen general or for the state. Can they make this Ogolla's will public? With which lawyer was it deposited? Like mine is family with my lawyer. How come there is no notable envoy that attended General Ogolla's funeral at even Ulinzi barracks where the funeral took place, or sent condolences to Commander-in-Chief for having lost his 4-star general? No ambassador attended the request to Lindsay, nor Sierra Finwell. No serious notable condolences were sent throughout the country and from our diaspora friends. Fifth, is the investigation team being appointed by the Minister of Transport instead of Minister of Defense? Military can only be investigated by military, and by virtue of public interest, which we can call civic interest, adding an independent investigative body adds credence, but it has to be a body that is military affiliated. The United States has a Defense Criminal Investigation Service. Of more concern is the fact that as I speak, the engine, the gearbox, and the black box of the fatal aircraft is to be flown to the US tonight by some technicians. Why haven't the government disclosed this to the public? And how come the investigation team has not even made a press statement on the rules of engagement, but there is hurry to ship these valuable instruments out of the country? In conclusion, for us at Leader Jamii, this Ogolla death remains an incident until proven as an accident. We therefore call upon the CS Transport, Mr. Murkomen, to disband the 7-member team in order for the Defense CS Duale to appoint military experts, and then the civil society should join, the family and the religious organizations also to nominate experts to the committee for transparency and accountability for Kenyans to have faith in the final outcome. Public participation is enshrined in our Constitution of Kenya. For such process, and therefore should not be taken as a cosmetic exercise. Since there has never been any investigation that has ever concluded pointing at an assassination, call it Tom Mboya, call it Robert Ouko, Arguing Scoville, you can name any other person that you have thought of. Since independence, we also suspect this will go down with the same excuses that it was an air transport accident, as the suspects in the assassination have been saying. In that regard, we call upon Kenyans to keep in mind the 3 tenets of public inquiry in an acronym ABC, where A means assume nothing, so Kenyans assume nothing about this. B, believe nothing, so we're not going to believe anything. And lastly, check everything. We're going to check everything until we believe that justice has been done and justice has been perceived to have been done. Thank you.
Okay, so there you go. The professor raises interesting questions surrounding the events leading up to General Francis Ogolla's death. So according to him, apparently the general knew that there was somebody out to get him. The day that he was initially supposed to travel to whatever the place that he went to, was on the 17th of April, according to Professor. And he went to, he was served some food by a chef or the lady who is close to, again, according to Prof, is close to Gachagua. And after General Ogolla ate that food, he fell ill a little bit, okay? Not that the food was poisoned, but he said he fell. There's a difference between food poisoning and poisoned food, okay? You can eat some food, and maybe there was something that's reacted adversely to your stomach. So he was very careful in his words not to insinuate that Gachagua, through this woman, was trying to get rid of Ogolla. So Ogolla survived that. He fell ill after eating this food. But then the next day, which was the 18th, where the fatal crash happened, he also mentioned that, The aircraft that he originally was supposed to travel in was switched. And once it was switched, before it hit the ground, it is said that there was a bang sound outside the aircraft, which may have suggested that the helicopter or the aircraft was ambushed, okay, was shot down. Then he also asked, why is it that of all the bodies, General Ogola's body was not taken to the, was it Lee Funeral Home or something like that? It was taken somewhere else, okay? Then he also highlights the fact that Ogola's will, which is now kind of something unusual, um, was to be buried within, I don't know, was it 3 days or something like that? And he said that yeah, the family might not be trusted because, they might be under pressure from whoever these powerful folks that wanted Ogolla dead. So they had to go along with this whole theory that it was Ogola's will to be buried within 3 days and all that stuff, okay? Which I also found it really weird, but I never really looked into it. I was like, okay, whatever, maybe that's true. Then also, Professor mentioned the lack of, people showing their dignitaries, sending their condolences, not appearing in his funeral. Notably, ambassadors. Usually, if you have, especially Ogolla, there's a video that I made when Ogolla met a U.S. general who came to pay him a visit. And he met that general along with the ambassador, Meg Whitman, the U.S. ambassador to Kenya. Okay, we never heard anything from them. There was no, maybe I'm behind or maybe I'm misinformed. Please, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But there was no any message of condolences or from most of these Western people, British High Commissioner, U.S. Ambassador to Kenya, and so forth, so forth. The EU, no one. And also notably, of course, Uhuru Kenyatta did not send any message of condolences for somebody who actually worked for him. Uhuru should have at least said something or at least attend his funeral. He never showed up at his funeral, which also raises questions. Why? I mean, if a top general like that who worked under you, you should at least go say some things, go to the funeral, pay homage, pay respects, and if Raila Odinga too, go there, say, you know what, this guy worked for me, he was loyal, he did this, and leave. Okay? He never did that. Uhuru was busy somewhere else. He had better things to do. Raila, we remember, chose to go watch the Mashimeji Derby on the day where General Ogolla was being sent off. No, this guy was giggling and laughing, watching Gor Mahia versus FC. So these are the questions that people must ask themselves, And also, Professor Ogolla mentioned that, the aircraft parts, like the black box, the aircraft itself, and so forth, so forth. Apparently, they are being shipped back to the US for further examination to see if there's anything wrong with it. So these are legit questions that have been raised by Professor Ogolla regarding the death of General Francis Ogolla, which I think the public needs to be informed. I don't expect the people carrying out the investigation to, notify or tell the public every step that they're taking as far as how the investigations are heading. But at least let's give us a general update of how things are going. What stage, they don't have to tell us they're interviewing or something, what are their status. There's an investigation, they cannot just, let's say, a high ranking member, official, somebody from the military, they are kind of, assessing this whole deal, or if they are to be interviewed. I don't expect the people carrying out the hey, we are interviewing the camera and they are showing us something that don't know. I don't expect Now we're distracted with the floods, we're distracted with some things that everybody is just worried about. Everything else, you're told nobody will. Most likely, it will die down just like that without people asking relevant questions. Because to me, I just felt it in my gut. The death of General Francis Ogolla was suspicious. I do not think it was an accident. And everybody knows that. I mean, for somebody who was a general to die in the manner in which he did, no, something was up. And to me, personally, for Raila not to attend his funeral, and especially the former president Uhuru Kenyatta, to me that's just a red flag to me. No. But that's just my thoughts. It doesn't mean that I'm right. We have to wait to see what comes out of this investigation. But all in all, I'm with Professor Ogolla. These questions that he has raised, whether it was the food poisoning, the last minute switching up of the aircraft that he was supposed to travel on, the meeting between General Ogolla and the Nigerian pastor that took 3 hours or whatever the case is at night, and the food poisoning, whoever served him that food, whatever the case is, the bang that was had, which might have suggested that probably the aircraft was shot down. These are all questions that needs to be explored, and we need some reasonable answers. So, as it is a matter of public interest, we need to find out what happened to General Ogolla. So we should not, take our eyes off the ball regarding this case. We should follow up thoroughly to find out what happened. Okay. So that's that with the Ogolla stuff. If any news comes out that's telling, we'll follow up and we'll stay on it. So I kudos to Professor Ogolla for keeping the public informed on what's going on in that regard. Okay, now let's get to today's news. Ruto, speaking of generals, Ruto appointed a new, head of defense force. I forgot his name. Do you people know his name? The guy from I think is it Air Force or well, I don't even care. But it's a new guy. Apparently, this time, remember I told you when Ruto chose Ogolla, he went out of his way not following the Tonje rules. We discussed about the Tonje rules in the military. Tonje rules is like the head of defense force should be rotated between Air Force, Army, and Navy. So if the last guy was a Navy guy, the next guy is going to be the Air Force, and so forth, so forth. But as Ruto told us in his interview, he told us that General Ogolla, he chose him against a lot of people's advice and made him the head of defense force. And that might have triggered some ill feelings towards Ogolla. So that's another angle we can look at. I told you, I gave you the back. Go look at my other video. I'm not going to go through that again. Just go watch that video. And also historically, actually, let's just read some tweets here that might help us in this, what I'm trying to talk about. And an interesting tweet that was made was none other than, let's say, what's his name? What's his face? I'm not good with names anymore. I'm old. Miguna. Let's go. Is Miguna tweet? He was commenting something about the new what's his name? The new general or whatever the case is. Okay, let's read it very quick. Don't forget to like the video, ladies and gentlemen, brothers, sisters, friends, and comrades. As we continue, and if you want to get in the new Equap or link Equap, if you have 2 cents that you want to say something, hey, do not hesitate. Ingia na uniambie vile unafikiria. All right, so here is Megona in his tweet is telling us 8 hours ago that I give President William Ruto 100% on these appointments. They exemplify equity and show the face of Kenya. The so-called Tonje rules did not, the so-called Tonje rules didn't stop Moi, Kibaki, and Uhuru Kenyatta from perpetuating tribalism in military promotions and appointments. Remember yesterday when I told you, not yesterday, the day before yesterday, my other video, when I mentioned that as soon as Kibaki got into presidency, when he became the president, he made sure that the head generals, defense forces, whether it's the police, military, and all that stuff, every security apparatus in Kenya were headed by his tribesmen, the Kikuyu. Kibaki was a Kikuyu, if you didn't know. Okay? Same thing when, what's his name? What's his face? Uhuru Kenyatta took the mantle. We know how. And again, I must highlight this. 2007, 2008, even before the election of 2007, the NIS warned Kibaki that he was going to lose the elections, and if he was to not cede power, concede defeat, there would be chaos. He was warned, so he knew that. So that's why he kind of had a restructuring of the military command, and he appointed his most trusted tribesmen to head the military. So he had generals who were friendly to him. Same thing with Uhuru. And remember the video that I played you by Martin Ngatia, the late, who mentioned that there were some Kikuyu generals that were used by Uhuru Kenyatta to actually rig the 2013 election and 2017 election. So using the military to sway, subvert democracy is not something new. And we know, now we know, we were told that Ogolla was in Boma Center, tried to overturn Ruto's victory, even though he was there in his civilian uniform, civilian outfit. It is now being ascertained that he was actually present there and was sent by Uhuru Kenyatta. But now, I'm not going to rehash that. Go watch my video on the other video, okay? So this death of Ogolla is really tricky, very tricky. So here, Miguna tells us that, the president, he gives the president 100% on the appointments because he exemplifies equity and showed the face of Kenya. The so-called Tonje rules did not stop Moi, Kibaki, and Uhuru. So he's saying Moi, during Moi times, the head military guys were Kalenjins, fellow Kalenjins, okay? Kibaki, Kikuyus, Uhuru, Kikuyus, for perpetuating tribalism in military promotions and appointments. Now, I'm not going to associate myself with Miguna's tweets or opinion because I kind of see it differently, okay? That's his personal view, which he has all the rights to, opine on the appointments. To me, I feel like, this administration is no better when it comes to appointments. We still see a lot of sectors, parastatals and stuff. People who they have been appointed there because they belong to Ruto's appointment. Ruto's tribe. So yes, it might not be as bad as Kenyatta's time or Moi's time or Kibaki's time, but it's still there. Tribalism is still there. So I might not fully agree with Miguna. But though, the new general who has been appointed there, he apparently it was his turn according to the Tonje rules. So Ruto went on and kind of respected that. Or maybe he was spooked by the death of Ogolla. You never know. After because remember, Ruto told us that he chose Ogolla against the advice of many top men. So maybe, and so when Ogolla was chosen to become the head of the defense forces, against the advice of top generals, against the Tonje rules, and Ogolla ended up dead, maybe Ruto was spooked and was like, oh, okay, this is serious. Let me just use the Tonje rules and appoint this gentleman that has now been appointed to be, according to The 20 rules, he's rightfully supposed to be there, okay? Unlike the case of Ogolla. Remember that. So maybe he's spooked. It's like, because, like I say, the Kenyan democracy is very, very delicate. Very delicate. And if you have the death of Ogolla, somebody like Ogolla happen, I don't know who's behind it. It might be somebody within this administration or somebody outside the administration, because there's powerful forces outside the administration, more powerful than Ruto. So if these people were not happy with Ogolla and they took out Ogolla, Ruto might be thinking, hey, unajua nini? If I don't toe the line, I might be next. And they might not, being next does not mean that they might assassinate Ruto. I mean, that can happen too, but they can remove him through a coup d'etat. It's very possible. Kenya is very, 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 very delicate. It's a delicate country. Nakwambia, it will just take, just like that. Kitu kifanyika tu like kidogo, we might descend into civil war. I know people are saying Kenya are very docile, tunavumilia, tumependa kuvumilia. Yes, tumependa kuvumilia, but my prayer is we stay peaceful, because the elections always highlight how delicate peace is in Kenya. It will take only one event, event kamoja tu hivi, because everybody is on the edge, especially with this, against this administration, Ruto's administration. And it's partly for their own undoing. Hizi mataxes wanaleta na hizi ujinga and all this nonsense that's going on. I mean, the incompetence among the CS and all this stuff. Na hizi the borrowing and the corruption. I'm not saying that they're doing something that we haven't not experienced. We experienced that through siku za Moi, okay? We experienced it under Kibaki. We experienced it under Uhuru, okay? And we experience it now with Nani, with Ruto. But it can happen anytime. Peace tuko nayo. Peace in Kenya is a fleeting illusion. It's very delicate. Mpaka tuwe. Ndio maana Ruto, he needs to do what's right. He needs to do what's right. Ndio, he's being a darling of the West. And he might feel safe because he feels maybe the West, wanamtumikia, they're protecting him. And he's doing their bidding by taking all these loans, bringing this, selling off our parastatals, furthering these SAPs, structural adjustment programs, and all this stuff, importing things and producing less, dependent on the West, whether it's our currency or whatever the case is. He might feel safe that they're protecting him. But Kenya is very delicate. Ndio nakusema, within this elite political class, hawa wakina Raila, hawa wakina Ruto, hawa wakina Uhuru, and so forth, so forth. It might take one incident. And maybe this Ogolla is the new. We don't know what report might come. What if we have some report comes out 6 months from now, whatever the case is, report ikuje which points a finger towards somebody up there. It can drive people to civil war. That's why, whoever is conducting this investigation has to be careful. And Ruto anazidi kufinya wa Kenya through his policies. And again, I keep on saying this. To some extent, his hands are tied. But ukichukua hiyo kiti, it comes with responsibilities. If you take that top seat, you have to be responsible. You have to do the right thing. And doing the right thing might mean maisha yako iko hatarini. Maana if Ruto start doing the right thing, going against the West, atatolewa hapo. Chap, chap. I built my case and I told you. And let me say this before I go to the next issue. Let me say this. And I said it in another video, but I'll say it again here. Okay? Just remember zile siku za when we were having this maandamano, when Ruto first became the president. Look at the pressure in which he was under. Remember, maandamano was happening. Duale, who is the CS for whatever, is it defense, told us that the Kenyatta family were funding what? They were funding the maandamano, right? That's number one. Maandamano kendelea, the maandamano were not effective. Guess who Raila Odinga went to bring in his fold? Alienda kaleta Maina Njenga. Remember Maina Njenga? Now, let's not be silly here. Let's use our heads. Connect the dots. Maina Njenga, the head of Mungiki, has always been Uhuru Kenyatta's lieutenant in the destruction of those people who are protesting in 2007. Just go listen to Ocampo's case. Zile stories zilipelekwa ninio, zilipelekwa kwa ICC. Nani, Uhuru Kenyatta, when after the Kiamba thing happened, I'm taking you back so you can connect the dots, okay? When the Kiamba thing was happening, Uhuru Kenyatta had a meeting, convened a meeting at the State House. They didn't mention if Kibaki was present at that meeting, but I'm assuming he was. They were just trying to protect him. But he was at the State House with Maina Njenga, where akatoa do akapatia Mungiki to go commit those atrocities in Naivasha and in Kisumu, acting as the police force. So Maina Njenga has always been the Kenyatta's go-to guy, lieutenant, to cause chaos. Jamaa, I would say the military guy, the guy who does their dirty work. Kama anataka kuua watu in large scale, tumia Maina Njenga pesa, atumie Mungiki to do cause. So here is this. Number one, Duale tells us the whole maandamano was being funded by the Kenyatta family. Raila kajaribu kufanya maandamano was failed. He went and brought Maina Njenga, who we know is Uhuru's ally. Maina Njenga brought his Mungiki in the fold. And all of a sudden ukaanza kuona hizi maandamano imeanza kushika moto mpaka huko Central. You know, so these guys were saying, hey, hata watu wa Central sawa wamesimama wameanza maandamano. Then he went to Mombasa. Makelele kaanza kwa Mombasa. Hii kitu ikaanza kushika moto. Using Mungiki and the Ninio. You remember that? Even Maina Njenga bila lishikwa. Do you know who went to tetea Maina Njenga? Can I tell you who went for those of you who always say Martha Karua is a wonderful Iron Lady, do you know who went to tetea Maina Njenga when Maina Njenga was being detained? I think somewhere in Nakuru or Naivasha. In this administration, hii maandamano ilifanyika. Martha Karua was one of them. Martha Karua. This is the person you're saying, all I'm saying is this. Connect the dots. These people are all this elite political class, these billionaires, dollar billionaires. Ama jamaa, they are fighting amongst each other for power. Ruto, Raila is just, Raila, he has the people, but he uses that to his advantage. Raila is all about money. Yeah. Oh, do you want me to go to maandamano? I'll gather my followers. Nipatie 200 million. Get done. Oh, Ruto sijui nini, utanipatia AUC. Okay, wacheni maandamano. 200 million. Sakaja, mnataka kutoa Sakaja? Sakaja, kuja hapa. 200 million. Sakaja. Musitoe Sakaja hapa. He's making money out of this. So they're always, there's a tussle even within this elite political class. So siku ile, one of them will totally lose it. That's when Kenya will descend into civil war. And it's not hard to do that. It's not hard. It's not difficult. Any freaking time. Wamejua. Ruto was so corrupt. You saw how they were misusing it. They could not arrest Ruto even when he was a DP. They frustrated him, whatever the case is, but they could not arrest him because they understood arresting Ruto, it turns a Vita Rift Valley and will go to civil war. Same thing, Ruto cannot arrest Uhuru Kenyatta, despite all the atrocities this person has done. Akishika Uhuru Kenyatta leo, Central na moto inaanza, right there. Same thing, they cannot get Raila Odinga. Unashika Raila Odinga leo, Vita, Nyanza, Mombasa, Kibera, war. You see where I'm going with this? That's the problem we have. So our watu mpaka wa negotiate. Hiyo vita they use their minions to fight hivi. So wakitaka ku destabilize Ruto's government, they use Raila kuna watu pale pesa maina jenga ndio hiyo pesa tunapatiana pesa hapo but they're all colonial puppets. All of them are colonial puppets, but they're fighting on the control who is going to be the top don in Kenya. Some of them, the people who wield a lot of power, even behind the scenes. And some of them have still influence. I truly believe, or personally, I believe Kenyatas have great influence within the military too. Because wale watu they promoted in the military are still there. Okay, some of them retired, but majority of them are still there. Okay, so this is how it's been played. So maybe huyo Ogolla vile alichapwa hivyo akadedishwa, Ruto was like, you know what, let me just go through these 20 rules. Zama jamaa anaweza kunitoa. Or maybe he'll make a change. You never know. But I keep on maintaining, unfortunately, peace in Kenya is a very, very, very delicate issue. That anytime itashika moto, and it's been exacerbated by the policies of this administration. It's pushing people to the edge. Unajua wale watu, wacha nikwambie, in every revolution, it's always the so-called middle class. Hao watu ndio wakichoka, kwa sababu wale watu wa chini they are sufferers, suffer for long. Hao watasema, you know what, hii ni normal, business as usual. Lakini hao majamaa unawatax hapa hawa, wale wananunua gari ambao they can afford stuff, wakianza kuna paycheck yao sasa, they cannot leave that hiyo ninio. The economic class that they belong to, they don't belong to it anymore, kwa sababu hizi taxes za gari, sijui taxes za nini, everything the taxes. Hawa ndio majamaa wa snap. Na hawa wakikasirika, you will be in trouble because you have to negotiate with them. And those are the people you're taxing. Unataka kuwarudisha ile class ya chini. They worked hard to get onto this ninio, wamepata majob, wako ninio. Even the doctors. Ama jamaa unaenda med school for I don't know how long. Now you don't want to pay them their dues. Something that you agreed upon, the government agreed, the state agreed upon the amount. Nyinyi mnasema hiyo do ni mob. Ati ushauri nini unasikia wakina nani Moses Kuria talking like they never stepped into a classroom. What do you think is going to happen? Walimu, they are used to this by this time. So if doctors wenyewe, si maloya pia walikuwa na strike, walikuwa wamestrike mbeleni. If these people ukitaka kuwapeleka chini unawapeleka in another economical and watu watakutoa kwa ninio. Ruto ukisikia usikie. These are people that are going to remove you. And all you clowns at the legislative body, whether it's ODM or Azimio or the ruling party. So we have to be careful. So it's up to you, Ruto. It's up to you, Kuninio, to see that you fix things. Ni shauri yako. You can side with the West. Na mzidi kucheza hizi mchezo mnacheza. You can do that. You can play these games. But there'll be consequences. Now, peace in Kenya is a delicate issue. It's a delicate state of mind. You can see it. You can see it. Military umesikia. You know when Ogolla died, niliangalia vile people were crying. The members of the military, how they were crying. They really loved the man. Walikuwa wamependa. They really respected him. And the way they were mourning, they had the love for the man. So imagine reporting Rudy was saying, pointing a finger to someone, one of these political, they also have ideas. How pia ni binadamu tu kama sisi. Go look at that ninio, kudeta ilikuwa inafanyika Burkina Faso. There were 2 of them which happened in 2013, I think. 7 of them zinafanyika kila siku. Kwa sababu mtu alikaa pale akasema, you know what, I'm tired of this. And it has to be somebody who is influential within the military. Watasimama waseme, hii kitu hata ilifanyika mbinguni bwana. Simlisoma Biblia. Shetani aliangalia hivi akasema, mimi naanza yangu bwana. Akaenda kabonga kadanganya. Is it 1/3 of ninio? Ya watu walikuwa mbinguni, malaika. Akawadanganya. wanajaribu kunini kutoa serikali, but he forgot he was made. That's another story. But you know, I'm just saying these things happen. It's just happened because these people wanafinywa and they can see that, na hii kifo ya Ogolla inawakasirisha, and they are seeing wanafinywa kwa tax their family members, because hao military pia kuna family members huko wanaishi huko, wanafilisika, na itafika mahali waseme, you know what, no, kama ni mbaya ni mbaya, and that's a dangerous place to reach. Ama jamaa akifika pale, hapa ni mbaya, we are in trouble. Mtu akifika hapo, ndio mnadarau, mnasema kati wa Kenya ni wapole, ndio very patient, wanavumilia, we like peace. But me 2007, when I saw the glimpse of how things can go wrong, pigeni tu kifua saa za peacefulness. Tunapiga kifua hapa saa zile tuko na peace, we can still take matatu, tunaenda huko sijui wapi, tunaenda Nyandarua, tunaenda Kenya, sijui tunaenda Nairobi, tunaenda Kisumu. Unaweza kupiga chest yako bila these clowns in my politician, tiala. Sasa ile vita imeanza, hata kutoka Nairobi kwenda Machakos huwezi enda, that mean death. Mabarabara zimefungwa, moto inawaka, unaulizwa wewe ni kabila gani? If you are wrong answer, hiyo ni mwisho wako na watoto wako hapo hivyo. So let's not play around. Wachana na watu, usidharau watu na kwa nini floods hapa. There are people there, as much as you might see it in number, but these are people, sovereign people, humans who make choices. Hata kama unafikiria hawajasoma, these are very, they have value. Hakuna mtu alizaliwa on an accident. No one is born in an accident. You are somebody. There's a reason why uko hapa kwa hii dunia. Hata kama una masomo, you don't have to be a PhD to be an important person. You don't have to have a master's or something like that. You don't have to be an MP, governor, you need to be somebody. So, Rais, I'm telling you, unafikiri ni legacy unachukua sijui. Na nyinyi wakina Raila pia na hii mchezo yenu hapa sijui mnakimbia yake na sijui. Wacha nikwambie. Vita ikianza, hata nyinyi wakina nani, nyinyi wakina Hassan Joho, hamtakuwa na mali ya kuongea kusimama ati mnaambia watu sijui nini sijui ODM kiana. Because the Kenyan people understand that ODM, Kenya Kwanza, Azimio, and UDA and Jubilee and Kenya Kwanza are all rubbish. Kenyans know that. They are not fools. They know, they see through your bullshit. They're not stupid. Na ile siku watasimama waamue ati tumechoka na hii ujinga yenu, I'm telling you, hakuna mtu atasurvive. Hiyo bunge, that new parliamentary bill itachomwa mkiwa huko ndani. Nyinyi wanasiasa nyote, MPs na senators, mtachomwa mkiwa huko ndani, mkibagi mambo ya ujinga, mkiongea mambo ya CDF. Tuone nani atalipa hiyo tax yenu. Chezeni na Wakenya nyinyi. Mnafikiri Wakenya ni wapole, lakini ile siku ile kamba itakatwa, ngoja mtajua. Bomali alikuwa anasema hivyo. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to talk about Raila and what's happened with his ODM stuff, but there's nothing much. The only thing was interesting is that Raila Odinga was, there was those demolition that happened, and he talked about it. Hey, that's another thing. Endelea tu, wewe Ruto wewe, endelea tu. Mimi nakupatia free advice. I give people free advice hapo. You want to answer to change things. You have the chance to change things. Hakuna ubaya. Sasa ni 2024. Next election is 2000 and what? 2027, sindio? You have time. Yeah, Mr. Beast anauliza itakuwa vita ya ukabila. Of course, there's a ukabila component into it. There's a ukabila component into it. Every election, hata ukienda election yoyote, Mr. Beast, just to answer your question. The problems might not be tribalists in nature, but vita ikianza, that's how we see it. Unajua Kenya tuko very tribal. Let's not face it. Kama tuseme nikupatie example, Mr. Beast. Kama 2007. What was the problem with 2007? The problem was Nani Kibaki was defeated and refused to concede defeat. Instead, yeye alisema ati ameshinda and he went ahead and akajiapisha. That was the problem, electoral justice. Right? But what was the consequence of that? Si Wakalenjin wanaweza kuchoma Wakikuyu huko. Why did they do that? Why did they do it? Because they perceived walikuwa naangalia the Kikuyus who are there as people who are associated with this government. Unaona? Nyinyi ndio mnatufinya hapa. Hii serikali yenu nyinyi wa Kikuyu. See what I'm saying? The problem it was not being addressed. Wao wanatoa tu ile nini yao kwa innocent people, innocent Kikuyus who are staying in the Rift Valley suffer the consequence. Alafu now some of the, of course, who do you think will, that's what I'm trying to I'm telling you, Beast Mode Reloaded. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. As of right now, let me give you an example. That's a good question. Anauliza nani watapigana? It will be Kenyan versus Kenyan. For example, right now Ruto, for example, okay, let me give you an example. Tuseme ripoti kuja ya hii the death of Ogolla comes in. You say, let's say somebody was involved, somebody from the government. The Luos might look at it as them being attacked by the Kalenjin government. Because the government is being led by who? A Kalenjin leader, Ruto. So utaanza kuona skirmishes in, is it Sondu, Kericho, where Kisumu County inakutana na, is it Ninio County? So you'll start seeing skirmishes like that. And it can move in a broader way. Eldoret maybe utaona wa Kalenjin now they'll start retaliating wanasema hawa Jaluo watoke hapa Eldoret hapa Dinio. That's what I'm saying. That's how it starts, because that's how it started. Let's not act like we are new to this. When government fails in a tribalist society, people look at what? They go to the common denominator. It's us versus them. Hawa wako serikali, sisi tuko nje ya serikali. Let's attack that people wako serikalini. Wale watu wako serikali. That's what I mean, Mr. Beast, if you get it. So it depends with what is the catalyst, what will offset kitu ambayo itafanya, that event that will make people start killing each other. I gave you the example of 2007. Kibaki refusing to concede defeat is what caused wale wa Kalenjin wakasema, you know what, nyinyi mko kabila ya hii serikali inaanza vitu. You see what I'm saying? Because we are a tribalist society. Unfortunately, that's just a reality. Come on, if you want to act like sisi ni wa Kenya, sijui tumependana sote. Yes, tumependana, we love each other, we live in harmony. But when things go south, when things get hard, when things get tough, when when government fails to deliver the services that it needs to deliver to the people, we turn against each other. Ndio maana nasema saizi I gave the example, if Ruto was to arrest Raila or arrest Uhuru, Luos and Kikuyus will go on the streets and start fighting the Kalenjins. Waseme we are being targeted. Unakumbuka nani? Huyu nani anaitwa nani? Matiang'i. When Matiang'i was someone to answer questions. So uliona wakizi walianza kupiga makelele, the former Kakamega governor who for ODM anaitwa nani? The one that was posting pictures of that woman. When his assets were being frozen akapelekwa kotini. Uliona some lawyers were like, hey, we are targeting our community, we are targeting your community. That's what Kenya is all about. We are deeply tribal. So when the government fails, sisi tunaangalia shida yetu as nyinyi mko kwa serikali, nyinyi ndio mnatunyanyasa. And unfortunately, the victims that usually suffer are people who have nothing to do with the government. Because right now, if you look at it, even in your colleges, there's some colleges who are not happy with a lot of colleges who are not happy with how Ruto is handling the economy. But vita ikianza, hata you can even hata ukienda kwa hizi other ninio, hizi other social media ama kwa ninio, other platforms, utasikia watu wakisema wakale siku hizi wanajifanya wako na kifua ati kwa sababu wako serikali. The sentiment is already there. Now, there might be a lot of colleges who live in Uasin who has totally no connection with Ruto. They're suffering. Because bei ya ninio ikienda juu inaenda kila pahali. But you see that already. Na wanasema wakaleji naona vile siku hizi wanajifanya. They are very, because Ruto is playing a part into that. The same thing when Kibaki was there, when Uhuru was there. They're saying, Wakikuyu, they're very arrogant nowadays. Hizi business zote hasa wanapewa hizi matenda kubwa. Unaona vile wako, Wakikuyu. And guess the kind of Kikuyus that suffered in Kiamba. Those were normal people who had nothing to do with anything that happened with the economy. Ni watu walikuwa naishi maisha yao kwa amani huko Rift Valley. But they were the first one to be targeted. Understand? Because we're deeply tribalistic. That's our society. So the government, it is important for the government to actually deliver, do things to alleviate. And the Constitution addresses all this. Whether it's gender equality and equality when it comes to, harmony amongst every tribe. These are all in the Constitution. If you follow the law, we can live in peace. In fact, ini ujinga ambao watu waelewi, this president, ukisai, this uchumi, if you help people move up the social economic ladder and they live a life where they can afford healthcare, they can afford to buy a house, they can afford to buy food and the last thing the last thing wananchi may want is vita. Because now they can afford stuff. They can afford to buy a house, a decent house, or build a house. They can afford to drive a nice car. They have a good house, a good job that has good benefits. Why should somebody like that go to the streets and start fighting or hate on his tribal neighbor? So these things, in due manner, they don't get it. Lakini hawa watu wanataka wachukue pesa na they waangaliwe kama demigods. They want the billions, so tukienda mahali we clap to them in the funerals and they say it's you. That's what I mean. They got it. They have their ass backwards. They don't get it. Ukisaidia wananchi when you move up, nakwambia you will not complain. It's simple, but these people want all the billions to themselves. So waonekane kama hao ndio mamungu. Wakiendesha gari, you see a convoy of 10 cars, Mercedes Benz na hizi sijui V8 na sijui nini RAV4 na kadhalika. Na tunawapigia, hey, look at them. A Gucci watch and stupidity. Instead of helping the common mwananchi, waende juu. If we are all doing good, if Nyanza province inaendelea vizuri, Nairobi province inaendelea vizuri, Rift Valley inaendelea vizuri, the Central province inaendelea vizuri, the government is doing well, there's less corruption. People are moving up, education to a high education, and our youth are being employed and they're learning new skills, high demanded skills. We should, they don't get it. But inaikuwa hivyo. We are suffering when it comes to that. Tusema hii serikali Kalenjin bwana, that's how people think. But they don't get it. Hawa wanataka glory peke yao. Ndio maana una see people like Raila Odinga. He's 167 years old, but does not want to live politics at all. Still want to be COTU member till the day he dies, because they want people to worship them. It's a drag. They like it. Uhuru Kenyatta still wants to be relevant. Mudabaki. Because they want to be worshipped. They want to be small gods. So they keep you poor. So you come to them and give you money and they see, I gave 5,000, 2 million for flood victims. Iyo mentality at one. And that's why we don't have new. We keep on trying. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, it's been 1 hour. Thank you very much. Beast Model Reloaded. I was not planning on staying that long. I have to wrap up, but like the video if you haven't subscribed. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm always here. Naikanga link up ukitaka kuingia tunaongea. I will come back tomorrow, maybe. Tomorrow is Saturday, Sunday. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know. It just depends. Maybe most likely on Monday again. Yes. Thank you, Beast Mode Reloaded. Thank you for participating. Next time, hopefully, utaingia. Like I say, if you're going to watch this on repeat, make sure you like, subscribe, share with your friends, talk to people about this. Look for solutions. Let's look for solutions. Solutions ambazo zitasaidia Wakenya wote, not only just us. We don't come here just to, this is why I make this channel, because I have passion for my own people, passion for my people. We discuss this. Yes, kuna masiku tutakuja hapa niite Raila Conman, kuna siku nitakuja hapa niite Uhuru, the sport, whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, these are the people. We can look for solutions within Kenyan solutions for Kenyan people. Amaniaje? Okay, subscribe, Basi. Subscribe, share, like, comment, and I will see you guys later. Amaniaje? Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, maybe, or the next time you see me on live. All right? Subscribe so you can get the notification. Turn on up. So, peace.